All right, so we have an emotional reaction. We want to recognize that. We want to relax to bring ourselves down, our physiological response. We want to bring that down. Once it gets down to a more comfortable level, then we want to distract ourselves from the emotion for long enough that we can get our baseline down, or get our emotional reaction back down to baseline. And then finally, when we're in a more thoughtful, reasonable, composed state, then we want to start trying to problem solve, thinking about how are we actually going to address this situation. So some different ways to problem solve. Talk the situation over with someone you trust. This doesn't necessarily mean getting advice. Most of us don't actually like to get advice, but we do like to vent about our problems. And what's really helpful is when other people don't try to tell us what they would do in the situation, but when other people help us figure out what we want to do in the situation. And that's what good therapists are supposed to do, right? They don't give you answers. They help you come up with an answer. And that's what your friend should ideally help you do as well. Not to tell you what you should do or what they would do, but to help you figure out how you can best handle the situation. Something else that can be really helpful is to imagine yourself in the third person. This also is really helpful before you make stupid decisions. So like, imagine if your friend came to you and described the situation to you. What advice would you give to them? What would you think about their behavior? What do you think they should do? I mean, literally, imagine one of your friends coming to you and describing the exact same situation that you're having. What would you tell them to do? And then, is that helpful for you? Can you take that, the advice that you would give, can you take that yourself and apply it to your own situation? Thinking of ourselves in the third person gives us just a little bit more objectivity and helps us make better decisions. And of course, please use the social and emotional skills that you learn in this course. So you guys have learned listening. That's a great way to deal with problems that you're having, especially with other people. Listening is a great problem-solving tool. We've talked about using feedback to deal with social problems, with behavioral problems with the people around you. We're going to talk about persuasion and connection. And so all of the, we'll talk about emotional, social regulation later in the semester as well. So these are all skills about how to problem solve the social problems that you're having with the people around you, and use them. They're very effective. Okay, so we have an emotional reaction. Our physiology spikes up. The first thing we want to do is just recognize that that's happening. Then we want to relax and bring our physiological response down a little bit. Once we get a little more comfortable, then we're going to distract ourselves from the problem for a while. And then again, when we get closer to baseline, we get more composed, then we want to pivot to actually trying to solve whatever problem we're having. This process is cyclical. It's not linear. So it's not like you're going to have an emotional reaction, you're going to recognize it, you're going to relax, you're going to distract yourself, and then you're going to problem solve, and then it's over. It's usually something like you have an emotional reaction, you recognize it, you relax, you try to distract yourself, it doesn't work, and so you have a really powerful emotional reaction again, you get really upset again, you relax, you distract, you start thinking, you start trying to problem solve and thinking about the problem, and then you get really angry or whatever else. Again, your emotion comes back, and so you got to go through that process over and over and over. That it's not just this linear A, B, C, D. It's A, B, A, D, A, like it's the cyclical process where you have to deal with your emotions, relax, distract yourself, and problem solve. I kind of think of emotional self-control like cleaning a toilet. The first time you clean a toilet, it's like really disgusting and unpleasant, and you're like, I can't even make myself do this. And then after years and years of cleaning toilets, it's only slightly awful. That's what emotional self-control is like. When you first start doing it, it seems impossible. It is so unpleasant to try to talk yourself down from a powerful emotion, to try to think of something pleasant about someone you're really angry about. That's a difficult thing to do. To challenge our perceptions of situations is a difficult, effortful, unpleasant thing to do. And at first, when you're first trying to learn this, it seems so impossible that you can't imagine yourself doing it. And then after years and years of practice, it only becomes slightly it's only slightly bad. It's only slightly awful. It never, I mean, at least for me, It's never become easy. It's never become fun. But I have gotten a lot better at it, and it has become less bad, certainly with time. And, you know, I got another 30, 40 years to practice, so who knows? So why are we doing this? If emotional self-control is never going to be any more pleasant than cleaning a toilet, why are we doing it? If it's such a difficult and unenjoyable thing to do, why are we going to do it? We're doing it because it's worth it, because it beats the alternative. When you practice emotional self-control, it helps you ask people for what you need, which is an incredibly important thing for success in life. It helps you avoid fights with the people you love, which again is very important. It helps you gain a powerful advantage when you're competing with people. And I'm using competition in a very broad way here, but like when you want something done and someone wants to prevent you from doing that, when you're having a discussion with someone and you see them lose their cool, when they get really angry or upset or whatever it is, that is an immediate advantage that you have over them because they're no longer thinking straight, right? As soon as the emotions click in, their mind clicks off. And so if you're able to stay cool at the same time that your adversary loses their cool, you have immediately gained an advantage on them. And that's what trash talking is about, right? If you ever play sports, people trash talk each other, and it's the idea of I'm going to upset you, and that's going to throw off your game. So the ability to stay cool is a huge advantage when you're competing with people. And then lastly, having this level of emotional self-control helps you influence the emotions of others. And when we talk about what leadership is influence, and especially it's the influencing of people's motivations and desires, right? And harnessing those things to what you think needs to be done. And so again, it's just an incredibly valuable and useful tool to be able to influence the emotion of other people, and emotional self-control helps you do that.